The second part of the translation of Luang Pu's reflection on the 16th of April 2023. Luang Pu thinks it will be more beneficial if the scientists nowadays would focus on study and research about something that would benefit to mankind and all beings and to the world, like study to increase the productivity of different types of forests, like tropical forests or mixed forests, to have like more variety of plants, and it will produce all kinds of useful plants that would give most benefit to human. So the scientists would not know how to do these things, but Buddhism or monks whom follow Theravada Buddhism, they know how to increase the productivity. They love the forest. Wherever they go, they will plant trees. So again, even monks nowadays, they turn to different way. They change to follow materialism because it's the degenerated age, or the age of downfall. So it is hard to find enlightened ones or member of the communities that still doing these things. However, Thailand still have a lot of peace vehicle, or the symbol of peace, like temples. We have temples in all villages. However, most temples now full of the black hat Lama, or the Lama that just focus on doing construction. They build like stupa, they build shrine, temple, statue. So they are not like practice, so they can give enlightened wisdom. And some of the monks in the temple nowadays are the yellow hat monks who study Dhamma and then just share what they learned, like theoretically or just like in academic way. So the red hat monk who practice meditation, inside meditation, is hardly exist these days. However, if you ask Luang Pu if there are any enlightened ones that enlightened through the deliverance of the mind, or Ceto Vimutti, like they practice meditation until they have the breakthrough, Luang Pu would say that there are still some, but it will be hard to identify because they will project themselves in the way that the karma force them to manifest in a very strange way, like Luang Pu gave 2 names of his followers. One is his brother. He called his brother Tojo, but he died last year. And another one is the monk in his temple in Sisakhet. The name is Himalaya. This monk looking like not very ordinary also. He looked like not very stable. So this thing is through the karmic force. So you cannot identify that they had already attained at some level of the enlightenment. And those who follow the worldly way, they only focus on seeking for worldly attainment and follow their instinct, focusing on eating, sleeping, procreating, or having sex, and try to avoid danger or escape from danger and difficulties. And that's all there is for how people in the world would follow. Even that people in the world try to flee from danger or try to avoid facing difficulties, but they cannot escape. There is no escape from aging. At least everybody has to face the stage of being old. So when you have to confront with old age and sickness and illness, you have to suffer anyway. So if you have never practiced spirituality, you never practiced meditation, you will be weak in the mind. The mind will not be able to stand being sick. But if you had practiced like Luang Pu, you will know that sickness cannot get him, because he had never hospitalized. So think about it. He is already 70 something years old, but he never admitted himself in the hospital, never hospitalized. So anyway, Luang Pu cannot compare himself to most people in the world, because maybe they have no past karma that would give them the opportunity or build the path for them to practice Dhamma like Luang Pu. However, Luang Pu said, after sharing this for you guys, I can say that for my ลูกหลาน like descendants, followers, or the one who uphold or follow him, or anyone who are in the Buddhist company, the monks, nun, layman, lay woman, if they pray to him, he will protect them from harm and danger. So he ready to do that, just like how he said. Luang Pu said the monks nowadays they tend to follow the technology and things like those in materialistic world because it's the downfall generation or degenerated age. Actually, we can say that of all Southeast Asian countries, only Thailand that survived the civil war and international war. There had been rumors or words that spread around that because we have great sages, enlightened gurus, or we can call them the superhero, they help to subside the danger that would cause from the war. So sometimes they can possess the pilot of the enemy party not to bomb the train station in Thailand, but make them like flew the airplane and bomb in the deserted or far away place like deep forest that has no human. So if you ask Luang Pu if it's true that it really happened that way, Luang Pu would say that it is true because for the Buddhist culture in Theravada sect, Thailand have this practice that can say that it is the most prosperous attainment. So you can come and study and learn the Buddhist culture of Theravada Buddhism in Thailand so that you can share out or pass on this knowledge of Buddhism, especially to Vietnam, because Vietnam has now already come to the time that they recall their prosperous past, the greatness of Buddhism. They will have a culture revolution to bring back their custom and culture. So if you look at China now, China is great. We have to say thanks to Luang Pu, call him the little brother Deng Xiaoping, because he bring back the culture. When Mao Zedong came up with the culture revolution, the revolution destroyed the culture and all Buddhist holy sites like temples and monastery. Everything was destroyed. Chinese people thought it was a good thing that Mao Zedong did, but after he died, they searched his house and everything in his house was made of gold. So it shows that it was not a real thing. He only do it with personal interest, and the benefit mostly goes to him, not to the country. So now China having another culture revolution to bring back their beautiful culture. They rebuilt all temples and monastery and Buddhist holy sites. They encourage people and Buddhist followers to reserve the culture. Now there are many ordained ones and sages in China. Many of them has come to see him. So some of them has high-ranking position, like well recognized, like Dr. Huang. They come to Thailand to study and take back the culture of Theravada Buddhism back to China. Luang Pu predicted that Theravada Buddhism will be outstanding, will be popular, because it is authentic, is like the original way that the Buddha has set example. For example, he was enlightened and awakened and became Buddha before he started his teaching. So those ordained ones who follow Theravada, they have to first enlighten or awaken to the truth themselves before they start to share their teaching and spread the Buddha's Dhamma. If they are not yet enlightened, they will not share out the truth of Buddha's Dhamma. So after Buddha's awakened and enlightened to the state of being the Buddhas, he shared the first sermon to his first 5 disciples. Namely, Anna Gondana, Badiya, Wappa, Mahanama, and Asaji. These first 5 disciples of the Buddha also follow his way. They will not share out the teaching of Buddha's Dhamma if they are not yet awakened to the truth or enlightened, because it might create mistake. They might share out the message that would create wrong view. So Buddha's Dhamma is the greatest science. However, in this present timing, the followers of the Buddha's Dhamma have adapted the teaching. So he addressed to Dr. Huang that there are still enlightened ones that enlighten through the mind practice or the deliverance of the mind. Those monks who have the super knowledge or supernatural power still exist nowadays. However, they are wise they are full of wisdom, so they would not show themselves, they would not show the magical power, they will not lead superstitious ritual and ceremonies like praying for the rain to come down, because in Thailand we have a kind of like ceremony performed by villagers and some ordinary monks to beg for rain to come when it is very dry. The farmer will somehow set up a ceremony and beg for rains. The truly enlightened one would not do such things. The noble ones or the enlightened ones are those entering the stream of enlightenment. There are 4 stages of enlightenment, which in Bali called Sotapanna, Sakadagami, Anagami, and Arahant. Or in English it could be translated as the stream enterer, the once returner, the non-returner, and the Arahant. These enlightened ones, they are beyond the world, or they will not perform things like how the worldlings would do. They are wise, so they will not perform any ritual or ceremony. They can just use the superpower to make rains come down without having to show off their magical power. For example, that day when there was an ordination ceremony at Pu Eng2, the rain just came down without us have to beg or perform anything, without having to do some prayers to call the rain. And he said, starting from the level of entering the stream, the first stage, like the stream enterer, they will not seek or will not struggle for worldly attainment. The Arahant level, or the fully enlightened ones, they are not the householder, which means they would not live in a home and have like family to take care of, but the stream enterers still involved in being a householder. Like they can still have sex, they can still have partners, they can still like stay and manage the family errands and stay at home. And Luang Pu make a remarks that the first stage of enlightenment, or the enlightened person that is still at the stream enterer stage, they can still be like sexually active because they are free from worry, so they can do it often, have sex often. And he gave the example of one of the Buddha's famous female disciple. Her name is Visakha. She is a rich housewife and she has many children and grandchildren, So it means that she was sexually active. And the Buddha announced that she already enlightened to the truth when she was only 7 years old. So Luang Pu said the reason that the stream enterer still can follow the worldly way and still have like sensual pleasure and still seek for sensual pleasures because they can only cut the 3 fetters. Fetters mean something that still tie you to the worldly way. There are like 10 fetters. I will put in the note, but the stream enterer or the person who enlightened to this first level, they cut only 3 fetters, which are: number 1, believe in a self, like having deluded view, thinking that this body and this mind is belong to our personal self. And the second one is the doubt or the uncertainty, especially about the Buddha's awakenedness, or the doubt in Dhamma. Number 3 is the attachment to rite and rituals, or we can say it's like the superstitions that people still have, or the fixation to rites and rituals and practices. Those who enlighten to the truth, especially the stream enterer, they already attain the right view, and they will not follow the wrong or the superstitious rite and rituals. They would not fixate to the sila. They only have one precept to uphold, which is the non-attachment, having no fixation. And they will not have doubt and hesitation. They will not doubt in the Buddha's science. So they will not follow or believe in other science that is not providing the true wisdom. So Luang Pu said, if any science that will not give you the sharp wisdom, you don't need to study. So if you eradicate or abandon the first 3 fetters, you can check it up again in the note. The first 3 fetters, you already able to attain the right view, and it will always stay with you. You will not have to face the downfalls. You will not fall to the lower plane of existence or the sorrowful or woeful state of existences. To abandon the number 3 is about not to fixate to the precept or to the sila, because if you are not seriously fixating to the sila will be in you. Then Luang Pu carry on to the second stage of enlightenment, which is the Sakadagami, or the once returner. The enterer to this stage are said to be free from the lust, ill will, and desire. They will not seek for any attainment in the worldly way. Whatever attainment that they get from the worldly way is happen through their past karmic payback or the meritful retribution. Luang Pu gave example that if there are like 10 enlightened person at the stage of once returner gather together, the one who had made the past meritful conduct in his past life, they will receive the retribution from those who come and make merit to them more than any others. Once returner that made less merit in their past life. Even the one that get more offerings got a lot of offerings, the rest will not feel anything. They will not feel jealous or like having negative feelings toward the one who get more offerings, because they don't feel disturbed. They don't have any interest in seeking for personal attainment. They know whatever meritful or positive payback happen to anyone, it naturally happens, and it not belong to any specific personal self. So if anyone offered something to us or to those who are enlightened at this level, they will just perform the duty that they have to do. They will not have greed or to make more of that attainment. So they would just take care of the offerings well without seeking for more wealth or for more possession. So if you have jewelry or money, you can take care of it, but you don't have to seek more, because you know that it actually happened from the past karma, and it's the karmic retribution. So the Dhamma here is to show you that meritful conduct will give the consequence of meritful payback or meritful retribution. Luang Pu used the word white karma. I would define it as like positive and meritful karma. So he said if you have done a lot of white karma, the meritful retribution will happen to you a lot. And he carry on talking about the karmic connection. For example, Luang Pu and us, or maybe he meant Dr. Huang, that have karmic connection in creating meritful conduct in the same merit field together, or have been like kins or relative, or have been supported each other or one another in the past life. If anyone in the same merit field has to face negative karmic payback or face suffering and difficulties, we will be like hand in hand in supporting and helping one another, because there must be millions and millions of years or lives behind us that we had this karmic bondage or karmic connection. So we have done the meritful karma together in the same merit field. We may had once built temples, built monasteries, stupa, and holy Buddhist site, or we might had came together and create the event of ordinations for monks, nuns, novices to create the successor for Dhamma. So this karmic connection or bondage can be included for those who have been like related in the way of being wife or husband, like partner or relative, close relationship. So joining in the same merit field to make merit together, to throw the seed, to plant the seed in the same merit field.